people away, keeping them at arm's length. Even if you were dealing with them, they would really never know what you were thinking, and they couldn't get to you. And even now, when Bob came here to do that Blood on the Tracks record,
he came here.
I got a phone call from. Well, I had seen him in New York about a year before with Barry Goldberg's apartment, and we were going to jam and play. And at that time, I realized that he had developed such thick character armor, such thick barrier wall, that he was like sort of frozen, you know. And the guy that I used to know, I mean, I just couldn't reach him because I guess he figured everybody wanted something from him, or, I mean, I guess he had been hit on so many times it was just impossible to get the real guy out there again, you know, the real. And so dealing with him was like dealing with someone who was frozen in his central core, frozen right in his spine somewhere, or deep down in his kishkas, and it was just, you couldn't get any real rapport out of him, and I felt very uncomfortable. And I asked all kinds of people who had been around him. I said, well, does he ever, like Barry, he produced Barry Goldberg's album. I said, does he ever unfreeze, you know? Does he ever like open up, you know? Because Barry and I had both known him when he had been a relatively open guy, and Barry says, no, he don't. Then he came here, and like I had gotten phone calls, no one can be here. Make sure that there was no one here at all. I said,
he came to your house.
Yeah, I said, what about my old lady and kid? And he said, well, you know, sure. And he came for us to jam the tunes on Blood on the Tracks to see if I was going to play on his record. I was auditioning, is what it was. And it was my birthday. And a friend of mine, right before my birthday, and a friend of mine had come, a guy that I bet if Dylan had got to know him, he would have really liked him, a guy named Chicken Billy, had brought me a fiddle, and it was a birthday gift, and he'd run up the hill with a fiddle, and a mandolin as well. I said, Billy, I gotta leave, Bob Dylan's coming here, he doesn't want anybody around. And he said, I just want to give you these gifts, man, you know. And so he hung around for a few minutes, and Bob came, and immediately saw me look. He had this very, you know, just uncomfortable look on his face, and he pulled out his guitar, and he started playing the songs on Blood on the Tracks, one after another. I said, hold on, man. You don't even have to sing them, man. Just let me tape the chord changes so I can learn these things, you know. Just play one of them over and over until I get a chance to write the changes down and I can play it. He just kept cranking the songs out, and we didn't gel. I mean,
he wasn't even listening to you. He kept.
No, I guess he was sort of listening. He was listening.
But he just continued what he was doing.
Yeah. And you see, it's always been that. I've always noticed that when making records with him. The song is the thing, man. He writes the song, and he finds a way to play it and present it, and all the rest of it goes on around him. When we were doing the Highway 51 album, 61, whatever it's called, the same thing was going down. He would just play, and we would just fit the music around him. There was never an attempt made to arrange the songs.
And you just all jump in.
Yeah, really. That was exactly what happened. There was never an attempt made to figure out, to produce a record the way it's done, the way the band does. The only time is with the band, I guess, they actually said, now listen, man, we're going to work this shit out so it sounds right. So we sat here. I can blame myself and say I played shitty that day. But I'll tell you this, man, I could feel no communion with this guy. None. My whole trip in playing music is communication. I mean, music is like, that's all it is, you know. It's when you're playing with someone, it's like making love to them. If that's not happening, it's negating the term. It's like fucking someone you hate. It negates it. It makes it the opposite of what it was supposed to be. My little kid has an insatiable curiosity about anyone that enters his house. He laid there in the living room and never came in once while Bob was in this house. Never looked at him, never came in. The only time he's ever done that in his life. I mean, it was a chill and dread atmosphere. I must say I played badly. I guess I did. I mean, I really can't remember it, you know, if I played badly or not. I'm a good player. I don't usually play that badly, and I don't know if I did, but we didn't play together.
Did you tape?
He wasn't allowed.
Did he have any friends with him?
He had Ellen Bernstein, who he was screwing at that time from Columbia Records.
What about his wife? He was apart from her at that time?
I guess so. I shouldn't say he was screwing Ellen. I didn't see her. Yeah, screw her. But I'm pretty sure that's what was happening. And it was a drag because, you know, I remember liking this guy. And I mean, really enjoying his company. And though God knows I have never played with him and felt that I was really playing music with someone in that give and take way in which one plays music. And this was just like the worst time of all because it was just cranking those songs out and no
What do you think? Well, I guess you didn't have time to really appraise them.
Yeah,
He was playing.
I said right then, I said, these are fabulous songs. I remember Tangled Up in Blue, Shelter from the Storm. You know, fabulous. Just as good as a Dylan song as ever was.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
And I said to him, I said, listen, man, why don't you think in terms of colors? Think in terms of what would sound good behind this. Just don't think in terms of, you know, I mean, what do you hear? You ever heard a Randy Newman album, I ask him? Do you ever notice what he puts behind his records?
Yeah, but the only thing Dylan like arranged is heavily arranged as Randy Newman would lose some of the charm of it.
That's a good point. I don't think so, no.
You know.
I think, a matter of fact, the best Dylan music I ever heard in my life is the Basement Tapes, Blonde on Blonde, and this movie that Dylan cut about a tour he made with the band. And every single one of those things were heavily arranged music. Blonde on Blonde is a tight album. The band's tight. They know the songs. They had the chord changes writ out. It was arranged.
Were you in on that at all?
No, but it's a very good album. And the Basement Tapes are arranged. They're sort of loose, but the people had played with him long enough so they knew what he was doing. And I feel that, no, I don't think Dylan would suffer from having good musical background, good presentation, really good. No, man, I think, no, I don't think he'd lose. I think it would enhance his music. I think it would enhance. I don't think he would lose at all.
Well, so your opinion of Highway 61 is that it could have stood more rehearsing? And
Sure. I think it would have lost some of the, you know, sound that folk rock, which was labeled sound, would have been lost a little, I guess. But, I mean, I wasn't hip to Randy Newman and stuff then. When I hear Randy Newman records and stuff, I hear a guy who's similar to Dylan in many ways. You know, original, unique writer and sort of limited vocalist, but who knew what he wanted to make his songs come alive. And hey, I don't think that hurts.
Randy Newman can sit down and orchestrate, can you, with
Yeah.
a score?
Yeah, but I mean, it doesn't have to be that. It just should be. I can't imagine how you could have a song that could not be enhanced by all the things that for centuries people have been using to enhance songs. I mean, you know, the certain right instrument for the right time, for the right word, and the right backgrounds, and you know, like there was a Ry Cooder album where he had a whole, it's called Paradise Lunch, where he has a whole black male chorus behind him on a lot of songs, and it makes it stronger, it makes it more musical, it makes it more attractive, it makes it easier to listen to, lovelier, and I see no reason why Blood on the Tracks, which is the songs are just great songs. I think it could have been 50 times the album. The songs will always stand as great art. I think it could have been a greater album with a lot more care taken to the background, to the music, as well as the words and the song itself.
He may have thought that too, because he redid some of the tracks.
Yeah, but he just did it with him and a bass.
Yeah.
Or, you know, I mean...
Don't you think John Wesley Harding is really, well, just that simplicity of the...
Yes. Yes.
Do you think that was rehearsed in the whole...
Yes.
That was...
Yeah, but didn't take much rehearsal because it was real simple. I don't think it was that rehearsed because, I mean, it was just bass and drum, except steel on 2 tracks.
Yeah.
That's why I like Blonde on Blonde even better. I mean, I don't always want... I mean, I love the albums with Bob by himself. Not his first album, but the second album. I mean, I love that. Just him alone. That's great. But if you're going to put other instruments on there, there's got to be a purpose. It's just not to have another instrument there because you want a bass and drum. They should know what the fuck they're doing. If you have another instrument as well as a bass and drum, I mean, an actual instrument that's supposed to add color, flavor, he should know what he's doing. He shouldn't just be picking along. You know, that's silly.
I think the Beatle albums are always great because every instrument you heard was
Put
doing
in its
something
place. You're right.
that had to be done by it.
Put in its place.
Yeah.
That's what makes good rock and roll.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, and it could be done all live. You could get them all in there at one time and run it down a few times until it was right. And it would be right. And then this brings me back to the thing I said to you at the studio about, and I've been asking people about it all since then, about Elton John and Bob, you know, Dylan. And trying to think, because the way I look at it is they're both, in a way, coming from the same place. They're singers with sort of the same, not that they're stories, songs, or anything, or any way telling the same story or anything like that, but where they got their roots, sort of. They both were weaned on American rock and roll. I'm sure they both tried to sing in this. Elton John was sang in a bluesology. He was an R&B stand-up singer, and Bob was a folk singer. But they were trying to sing older forms of black and white indigenous American music, and they both were imitators of it. And I feel only on that level, of one who is trying to recreate vocal types and styles that he has heard and make them meld in him and come out, as his own form. I feel that, yeah, man, fuck, I think that Elton John sings, drawing on those same influences, sort of. I think he pulls it off better. And I think the same way, I think he plays piano in a, well, I don't want to talk about the playing. I think that Dylan plays real good guitar. But,
Does he?
yeah, he's a real good guitar player. To back his shit up, there's no one that backs it up better than him. But you can't compare them really, though. Only on that one level could I compare them, that they were both obviously at one time rooted in Afro-American and non-Afro-American country, music, rock from whatever, and they both try to emulate that. And I think Elton John was a little more successful,
Commercially.
No, just in the actual act of trying to make his vocal cords do things that he had heard a long time ago or hears currently now. I mean, he can do that, I think you can hear Dylan singing his change. I mean, over the years, he's become more and more of a singer, a real singer. He's developed more vocal style, damn near vibrato in his voice, and you really heard it on Nashville Skyline, which was the first record where he stoned.
How did he change his voice that much? There was it filtered.
He tried to learn how to sing, really sing.
He just sounded different. Like,
yeah,
if you were sitting there, he would just sound like that.
Yes, he would. When you learn how to sing, you learn how to sing. Your range increases. You can sing higher notes with little less strain. You can sing more notes. You sing more melismatically. You just you become a better singer. The more you sing, the better singer you become. And just on that level, I think Elton John's a better singer. I mean, if you gave Elton and Bob the same song to sing, I probably would rather hear Elton John sing it. Given the melody, those melodies, I think he would probably sing it better. But Elton John is, I mean, fuck man, he doesn't write his songs or anything. He's a entertainer. Dylan is Dylan.
He writes the music.
Right, but there's nothing. I think Dylan is a heavier guy than Elton John.
Yeah.
I mean, he just is.
He's the only one writing lyrics that you'd actually want to read apart from the music.
No, I would read Randy Newman's lyrics.
And he writes pretty good stuff too. It's good to laugh at Randy Newman.
Not just laugh. Have you ever heard Old Man?
Yeah. I think that's kind of.
Oh God, I think it's so true. Yeah. It's just so true. My dad's just like that.
Too.
That's different. Just sort of different. That's very sentimental. It's a Stone period piece. But Old Man is just a true story. If you've ever known an old person who's sort of atheistic and that was dying, it's just the truth. I mean, my dad's like that. My grandfather were like that. And that line about you, what is it? You told me not to believe that lie. Need no God to comfort you. You told me not to believe that lie. That's just when you're laying there on your dying bed and all that life you thought, that's just bullshit. And all that. Man, you need someone then. That really struck a note in me.